From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
It's the Bryan and Vinny Show, everybody. It is June 19, 2016, Figure4Online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. What's funny is this is the second time we've started the show here today. And the first time we did it, I was remarking that this song totally didn't fit. I just realized that when we started over, I could have chosen a different song, but I didn't. So I got this here from Money in the Bank. It is Sunday. No NWA World Championship Wrestling. No Ring of Honor. Apologize for that, but got a lot of stuff to talk about here today with this show. It was a very, very newsworthy show. All three members of The Shield were all WWE World Heavyweight Champion on the same night.
Yeah. Not at the same time.
Not at the same time.
That would have sucked.
That would have been very weird, but on the same night. So we're going to talk about that show and whatever else is going on, which is nothing. Only going to talk about this show. 3.5 hours long.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, it would have been much better as a 2-hour show and just put on the last 3 matches. Because nothing on the undercard was worth my time.
Well, you know, you didn't even watch the pre-show.
No. I don't believe anyone watched the pre-show.
Let's talk about what was on the pre-show here. You missed the Golden Truth, defeating, I guess officially they're called Breezango.
All right.
But somebody on Twitter called them Febreze, which is
that is so much better.
So much better.
So much better. And probably took 8 seconds to think of.
That's right. I guess Breeze and Fandango did a gimmick where they...
I did see that. The setup for this, the setup video for this match was tremendous. It was Tyler Breeze and Fandango going tanning together, and they disrobed to admire their own lack of tan lines, and then the two nude men stepped in the same tanning booth to tan together.
That was their first mistake.
Tell me more.
And never do the combo tan with your buddies.
No.
It should always be one or the other.
And of course, I shouldn't say of course, but Truth and Goldust cranked up the intensity of the tanning bed. And so we got this, which is Goldust and Fandango coming out with horrible fake tan makeup and horrible peeling flesh gimmicks all over their chest and arms. It looked fake. It looked stupid. It looked junior high play level makeup, and I guess Truth and Goldust won. I don't even really care.
You know what? They still sold better than Dean Ambrose in half of his matches for this fake sunburn. You know what was weird? I haven't been tanning in a long time, but the last I checked, you could adjust the time, but I don't remember being able to increase the intensity.
No. I do remember.
Can you turn the burn up to 10, please?
As I recall, the bulbs just die over time, because I remember at one point they told me we just got new bulbs this week, so we're sure you don't go as long as you've been going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the time.
Yeah.
But there's no intensity knob.
There's off and on.
There isn't a knob that just says golden and then another one that says red, and you just crank that thing up. Anyway, we're overanalyzing this stupid match.
Yeah.
The Lucha Dragons also beat the Dudley Boys in a tag team match. This made for 11 matches here on this show. Do we need 11 matches on WWE pay-per-views?
No, as I was just saying, we needed 3 on this one. The 2 big singles matches and the ladder match. That's all anyone cared about. That's all that was any good. Enzo and Cass versus Vaudevillains versus Gallows and Anderson versus New Day for the tag titles. So early on, Aiden English reaches into the ring. He slaps Cass in the back, and this counted as a tag. So Aiden was legal, and Cass had to leave. Then 10 seconds later, Big E runs over and knocks Gallows and Anderson off the apron. That's not a tag. So apparently...
Dude, I have not figured out how this tag thing works. Sometimes you can use your foot, sometimes you can't. You've got to be holding this. You can't be standing on that.
So we had an 8-way brawl. That became a 4-way brawl with just the babyface teams. Then everyone took turns getting heated on somebody briefly. Let's see. Enzo got launched outside onto a pile of bodies. And Enzo and Cass had Anderson pinned with a rocket launcher. Gallows broke that up from the floor. Crowd thought that was a 3 count. And I think when the ref hit the mat, they thought that was the count of 1. That's what I think happened. That's happened to me before. Somewhere in here, Enzo went down grabbing his ribs. Looked like Kofi was about to kick him, so I hope he's okay. That poor guy can't catch a break. E hit a spear through the ropes, nearly fell on his head, and 200 moves later, the club... no, that wasn't the finish. They hit a magic killer on English. Then E broke that up, then somebody was out of position, everyone had to stand there for a while, and finally, New Day hit Anderson with a big ending, and they pinned English, who had been killed with a magic killer like a minute earlier. It was a mess.
Yeah, the last few minutes were a disaster. The rest of the match wasn't too bad. They did 14 straight minutes of entrances and promo work. Later, they had to cut time off the women's match. Now, given the state of that women's match, that did not end up being a disaster. But still, I don't know if we need 14 straight minutes of entrances and talking on a show that's already going to go 3.5 hours. Stuff was good. I have a new dream tag team.
Oh.
Enzo Amore and Shinsuke Nakamura. They would be amazing together. There's no denying this, Vinny. Don't even try.
They are so similar and yet so different.
Hey, they're similar in the sense that they are both extraordinarily charismatic and they can get away with doing nothing.
I'm thinking about this more.
One is a great wrestler, however.
One is tremendous at everything. The other is a tremendous babyface in peril. Enzo Amore selling for 4 or 5 minutes to set up a Nakamura hot tag. You have sold me.
Yeah.
This must happen.
Maybe when they have the draft, they will split. No, they got to do one tag team championship that goes between both brands. And so, because they've got two guys, they got two brands, and they got all these guys, they can do a lethal lottery where you never know where your partner's going to come from. He could come from Raw or SmackDown or NXT. You do lethal lockdown, Nakamura and Enzo Amore, because I'm certain that Enzo Amore and Big Cass will be split up. So Enzo Amore and Shinsuke Nakamura end up a team together, and they win the tag titles, and they go from brand to brand. You can have them on NXT, you can have them on Raw, you can have them on SmackDown. This is magic, if I do say so myself.
Todd Phillips interviewed Kevin Owens.
Tom. And I know it's not your fault because Kevin Owens also called him Todd. His name is Tom Phillips. It's the gimmick now. Even Kevin Owens doesn't know the man's
I
name.
don't even bother correcting it. I'll call him Phil. Philip Todd. Philip Tom. Philip Thomas. That's his name.
How about Phil Time?
Philip Michael Thomas on Miami Vice?
I don't know.
Phil Time.
That's what they were doing on this fucking show that went 8 hours.
That went too long. So Owens is making jokes about putting Cena on the shelf of this show a week ago. His mom thinks he's special. Jericho interrupts. They go back and forth. Del Rio
Sounds like you didn't like this very much.
It's not so much I didn't like it.
I thought it was great.
It was really funny. As comedy, it was funny. It seemed like a strange spot to do a comedy segment.
There are many times that WWE does comedy, and it sucks. And this was not one of those times.
No.
Kevin Owens has great comedic timing.
I think this is the key. There's many times they do comedy that sucks, but most of those times Kevin Owens is not involved.
Well, Kevin Owens was here. Jericho's got good comedic timing. And Del Rio is not renowned as a funny guy, but I'm told that he is a funny guy. So he fit right in here. They did give Owens the whole segment. I mean, they all worked together, but Owens owned the segment. And apparently they figured out, this guy's funny. Let's let him talk some more.
Huh.
What a novel concept.
Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. In a feud so stale, even Cole noted this has been going on since the day after WrestleMania.
Let's be fair right out of the gate. The men worked hard. That's about where it ends.
Their effort, I give them high effort grades.
Yes, they get a 10, as Granny would say, on effort. They get a 4 on everything else.
It's amazing because what this match was, whenever Dolph was on offense, this will shock you, the match is going way too fast. But then Baron would cut him off, and then the match was going way too slow.
Yeah.
There's a happy medium there, and they were never at any point close to it.
Well, I hate to harp on Dolph Ziggler again, since I seem to do it on every single show. But you know what? As the veteran, it's his job to keep the pace.
Yes.
So if you're going too fast for the other guy, and then the other guy cuts you off and the match is going too slow, it's your responsibility to try to get everything back on track. Instead, Dolph Ziggler always just does his match. He never works to the other guy's strengths and or weaknesses.
No.
He's going to do his match. If you can keep up, it'll be a good match. And if you can't keep up, I guess in his mind, he's showing off and trying to steal the show. Suffice to say, this did not steal the show.
No. No.
It was okay, but I never in my life need to see this match again. The fans were chanting boring. They were chanting, let's go Ziggler, Ziggler sucks. There was a spot where Ziggler was outside the ring. Ziggler is the babyface, by the way. Ziggler is almost counted out, and like in New Japan, he jumps in the ring with a split second to spare. Everybody booed because they wanted the goddamn match to be over.
It's funny you should mention that spot, because that was actually the spot that set that up was Dolph's entire career in a nutshell. They go outside, and Dolph is going to do a spot where he jumps off the stairs, and Baron catches him and slams him on the floor. And you mentioned that Dolph often moves too fast for his opponents. Here's an instance of Dolph moving too fast for himself. Because this guy, who was a tremendous athlete, was going so damn fast he slipped on the stairs, nearly fell on his face, but thank goodness Baron Corbin is mighty and still caught him in midair and slammed him down. I don't think most people noticed this.
Oh, I noticed it.
I noticed it.
And you know what I noticed about it is Ziggler is the veteran.
Yes, this is the
key. And he's
key.
the guy that was so out of control that he slipped and fell down.
Yes.
And the rookie,
The football player,
had to save the match, had to
Yes.
save the spot.
watched that and thinking, Dolph, you've been working regularly.
It'll never change. It's a
I
waste
know,
of our
it's
time.
a decade in the biggest company in the world, working regularly, and you never got any better. Anyway, Baron hit the end of phase 1. Charlotte and Dana versus Natalya and Becky. I was trying most of this match to figure out what on earth I could possibly say about it. It was every Raw tag match you ever saw just on a pay-per-view.
These girls do not do well with their time being cut. And granted, the girls have had their time cut for years. Lance noted this on the show the other day, but I think these girls just need to accept the fact that 9 times out of 10, their time is going to be cut.
Have a plan B.
Yeah. So
Like the
just,
Four Horsemen.
why don't you create a short match
Yes.
and then have a long match as a backup?
Yeah.
So that when they say your time is being cut because the guys in the opener talked for 14 straight minutes, we got to cut your time, then they're ready to go with their original plan.
Sure. Have a backup plan and a backup plan for the backup plan. So
I'm not sure this would have been great given more time.
there was nothing great about it. It did strike me as a classic example of what WWE has trained their audiences to be, because they do not react really to, with exceptions like some points in the main event, but they don't react to wins and losses or near wins and near losses. They react to catchphrases and finishing moves. Because Charlotte hit a schoolgirl and put her feet on the ropes and got a near fall off that, and nobody cared she was cheating, and nobody cared that Natty kicked out. But then Natty immediately hit the sharpshooter, and the crowd said, aha, we know this move, and they all cheered. So eventually, it broke down to a 4-way. Dana threw Becky into Natalya, and Charlotte pinned Natalya with natural selection.
Whatever the story is with Dana Brooke and Charlotte, it was not played up one bit in this match.
No, there was no dissension between the two at all. And in fact, it was the other team that broke up because Natalya jumped Becky and laid her out. And I don't know why, but I do know this division got stale very quickly and needs some kind of shakeup.
Well, the idea here is that Natty turned on Becky, so now Natty and Becky will have a feud, and that opens up Charlotte for the return of Sasha Banks for that feud that they've been holding off for months now.
I see. Phillips interviewed Dean Ambrose backstage. Dean did a very serious promo about winning the ladder match. Then he was done. He starts talking about the main event of Roman and Seth, and his whole mood changes. He lights up. He's cracking jokes, making fun, and says Roman's going to have fun beating up Seth because beating up Seth Rollins is fun. And I know that. And he left. Foreshadowing. Sheamus versus Apollo Crews.
Oh my God. So these guys have had kind of a blood feud. There's been no blood.
I was going to say.
But this is more than just two guys that are having a match.
Having a sweat feud.
Sheamus attacked him. Apollo Crews did a lot of smiling. Anyway, they get in the ring, and it's Headlock City.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many. Sheamus was very aggressively, and let me say this again just so everybody can really process what I'm saying here. Sheamus ran wild with aggressive headlock takeovers. Can you imagine that there was an agent backstage who suggested you guys start with a series of aggressive headlock takeovers,